Welcome back to another edition of Hanging with the Howards. I know you've missed us. We know you missed us. And guess what? We are back. It's been a long time. I'm Brian, joined alongside my beautiful wife, Letitia. Tish,
Hey,
how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Feeling pretty fine. How are you?
Well, I'm living the dream as always, you
Well,
know.
that's good to hear.
So we're back. We've been gone for far too long. Obviously, we the last time we tried this, we had a little bit of technical difficulties. But what led to do for us doing this podcast today was probably the message at church, and the person at church. I'll let you talk about that, Tish.
Yeah, so we went to church this morning, and our friend Dino, he always asks when we're going to do another podcast. So, of course, this morning he asked us again, and we tried to make an excuse. Oh, we tried, but we had some technical difficulties, and he basically told us, and fix it, do it. We were like, okay. So, yeah, so he gave us some loving encouragement, but some firm encouragement. He was like, get it done. Whatever you got to do to fix it, get it done. So that was very encouraging. That's the kick that we needed to go ahead and get started again.
Yeah, I think like one of the things of the wording of encouragement, I guess you could say, was the fact that him and his wife, they've been married for I'm assuming a long time, but they've done podcasts, and people want to listen or see real time, real things that are going on with people,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just interesting to have that conversation. So shout out to Dino. I also want to shout out AT&T Wireless, if I could, for allowing us to have this podcast by using their bandwidth and their wireless abilities. Again, AT&T Wireless. I'll expect that check in the mail. AT&T.
Okay, yes, but we'll definitely wait for it.
Um,
Oh, and before we get started, I do want to say it was one thing that Dano did mention today, and you'll this will make more sense later on in the podcast. But he asked, basically, it's a podcast for like entertainment purposes, or like is it a ministry? And so that was one of the things that I kind of wanted to start focusing on more. Is to have it as a part of a ministry, just to kind of encourage people. Like I said, this will make more sense later on in the podcast, but I do want to use this platform as a form of ministry for us. So I'm glad that we had that conversation with him because it definitely, like, sparked a lot of things in my mind to kind of encourage me to continue on with the podcast.
yeah, I think over the last year, we've kind of gotten lost. Whether it's been being busy, work related, just not having enough time in the day to do a podcast. I know when the calendar turned to 2026, one of the things, one of my resolutions, I guess you could say, was I wanted to be a little bit more connected to God in a sense. So, when you talk about ministry, it's also sharing some of the things that have happened along the way. Of what God has been able to provide, and some of the challenges as well.
Hmm. That's right. And so, kind of because we've been gone for so long, it's hard to do like a full recap of everything. So, we're just going to kind of start, just kind of give you a brief recap of kind of the month of May. So, we'll start with the month of May, which is one of the busiest months we've had probably ever. Um, so we're just going to kind of recap just the last month or so, and then we'll go into some other things. As you see, I'm wearing my chapter 50 shirt. So we have both turned 50 since our last podcast. So
I did.
we'll get, yes, you did. So we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, no, yeah, the month of May was an absolute blur. in my eyes. It was probably the busiest month I've ever encountered.
Mm,
Every weekend, we literally had something going on, or I had something going on. So it was definitely a busy month. And like you said, I mean, it started literally with a bang at the beginning of the month. Our baseball team had the opportunity to play in the HBCU baseball classic in Chicago,
mhm,
and have that second game, that middle game of the series against Prairie View, at Wrigley Field. And it was just a blessing to be able to
mhm,
go on the trip. I've been to Chicago one time before. Never had this much free time, in a sense, to see some things.
mhm.
But if it wasn't for our deputy AD, Travis Glasgow, I don't know if I would have those opportunities. In a sense, because I went on a boat tour to see architectural stuff. Got to go to a Cubs game,
Mm.
and then the following day playing at Wrigley Field, and being on the field at Wrigley Field, and then going up to the press box. So that whole weekend, that first weekend in May, it was a blur. Plus being sick, you're talking
Oh
about
yeah, with
going,
the weather.
absolutely, you're going from like 75-degree weather in Alabama to 40 degrees to 30-degree weather in Chicago. And that wind is definitely brutal coming off the lake there
Mhm.
in Chicago. But had an absolute blast. Wouldn't trade it for anything in the world to have that particular time in Chicago. Tish, what was your thoughts? Obviously that was the first weekend in May.
Yeah. Well, I knew that. Well, I hope that you would have a good time in Chicago, and it seems like you did, despite the weather. You did pack well, though. You did pack for the weather, but still, just those variances between like here and there. I'm pretty sure a lot of people probably felt the same way you did, but I'm glad that y'all had that experience. I hope the kids had a good experience. So I'm just glad that y'all had that opportunity to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, and what most people think is, oh well, we flew to Chicago. No, we took a bus, and that's a
Scenic
long bus
route.
trip. I mean, it just really is, and the abilities of seeing some things, some sights on the bus trip. Driving through Nashville, driving through Louisville. It had been a long, long time since I've been through Louisville. Being in Indianapolis and then into Chicago and then back again. Arriving back in Huntsville, I think that was like 4 o'clock in the
Oh,
morning.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot. It was a great weekend, and then that spun us into the next weekend. Very
Mhm.
short turnaround, as we got back on a Monday, early Monday morning. And then I was gone again come Thursday.
Mhm.
We both were, in this sense, for our daughter's graduation in Arkansas.
Mhm.
And Tish, you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we had a great time in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, UAPB. They had their graduation. So my youngest daughter, Tishana, graduated from UAPB. So we had family to come down and, just to celebrate her and those accomplishments. It's a huge accomplishment, anytime you can graduate from college. So we just enjoyed her that weekend. My oldest daughter and grandson are here. My brothers, sisters, parents, cousins. Everybody just came to celebrate her on that weekend. So we had a good time. It was exhausting. Um, Stressing out, making sure that everything was done. We got to get a cake. We got to do this, do that, and it's also Mother's Day weekend.
Yes.
So not only that, graduation led right into Mother's Day. So we were able to celebrate that as well, in which I think I put it on Facebook. It had been several years since we had all been together for Mother's Day. Mother's Day, so that was really nice to be able to celebrate Mother's Day with them.
Yeah, I think it was great. It was certainly different for me from a different perspective, I guess you could say, because I always, normally spend that particular weekend at Alabama A&M's homecoming, right? And so this was the first time that I had been able to go to somebody else's homecoming,
Oh,
or not,
graduation.
yeah,
Your
not homecoming, but
graduation.
graduation, somebody else's graduation, right?
Yeah.
And so it was different in a sense,
Hmm.
right? But the rules still apply. Clear bag policy. That was something interesting. Not necessarily that policy, but you got a 1 year old.
The food policy.
Yeah, you got 1 year old. They won't let you take food in,
Hmm.
um, or formula or whatever. It was really weird,
Yeah.
really different
Yeah.
in a sense. They were selling food, but they were only selling it out of one concession stand, not like multiple ones.
Yeah.
Um,
And it was
so
like
yeah,
the popcorn and stuff, like not snacks that a 1 year old would be eating.
right.
So yeah, that was a whole thing, trying to make sure that he was okay and that he was occupied instead of crying. Um, yeah, that was a little frustrating trying to get into the graduation, making sure he had what he needed.
Yeah, and I felt like the day itself went well
Hmm.
uh for Tashana, and so blessed that she graduated on time. Um and
Yeah.
she was able to cross the stage, and
Hmm.
again, different schools do different things, and it was just different to watch somebody else's graduation
Hmm.
than something that I've seen multiple times over at Alabama A&M. And then you're right, Mother's Day was the very next day.
Hmm.
And again, having that ability to celebrate Mother's Day together.
Hmm.
I thought that that was very awesome, very cool. Obviously, later on that Sunday, we obviously had to make a trip up the road to Conway, Arkansas for your thing, and we're going to circle back to that a little later on. But no, I felt like that was great, and then obviously I was driving back on Monday,
Yeah.
which then leads to Friday. So
Yeah.
again, short weeks. The weeks go by very fast. But so on Friday, my wife and I, we went to Montgomery, Alabama, as I was being honored by the SWAC Alumni Association at their Legends Award, as I received the, wait for it, it's a very long title, the Chuck Charles Prophet Wagon Master Award. I know it was super long, but
Oh,
no, it was yeah. So my wife did great. She got us a hotel for that Friday. The SWAC Alumni Association put us up on Saturday. But Tish, talk about Friday, because I think that
yeah.
that was huge. I'm gonna circle back after you talk about, but I just kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on that Friday piece.
Okay, so that was May. That was in May. So probably was like March, maybe, or as soon as his cousins who live in Ohio, they found out that he was getting this award. And so they started contacting me and was like, hey, we thought, it would be neat if we surprised Brian at his award. And I was like, oh yeah, that would be great. He would love it. So over the next month or so, month and a half, I worked with them and, told them where we were staying, kind of, told them all of what was going on. And so they were able to fly down and surprise you for your award. You had no idea. I kept that secret from you, but it was priceless. When I tell you it was priceless for them to make that sacrifice and to come down that Friday to spend the weekend with you.
Yeah, I hadn't, for full context, I hadn't seen my cousin since 2021. I just normally don't go back to Ohio. My parents had retired. I moved to Florida, so going back to Ohio just really hasn't been in the cards, or hadn't been in the plans. And obviously, this was a surprise of all surprises for me, I guess you could say. But we check into the hotel on Friday. And I'm just like, okay, like my wife gets hangry. Okay, guys.
Definitely.
For full context, okay, if it ain't between 4:30 and 6:30, she gonna get hangry. Okay, without a snack, she just gonna get hangry. That's just how it
Definitely.
is. And so it was like 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I was like, man, I know she's hungry. Like we gotta get her some food, and we get in the room and she breaks out her laptop, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, what are you doing? Like we should go get some food. So I'm just kind of pacing around, walking around, whatever. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I gotta go, so I'm gonna go to the bathroom. So I go in, and immediately I hear this knock on the door.
It
Well,
was the
I'm not
worst
gonna
time in ever, but it made it priceless though.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna go get it because I just went into the bathroom. I gotta go. So, um, so yeah, I go to the bathroom. Get done, wash my hands. I open the door and like I'm expecting my wife to literally say, "Oh, it was just somebody wrong room, whatever," right? And I literally walk out, and there's my cousins. And I hadn't seen them since 2021. It was certainly a surprise of all surprises. Such a
Mm,
huge blessing to have family at this event
right.
was something that was just something I had not really thought of, to be honest with you. So thank you for surprising me. Thank you to Brandy and Lori for making that happen. Um,
Mm.
that's a huge shout out to them. We went out to eat on that Friday. Chili's in Montgomery. Shout out Chili's in Montgomery. I don't remember the
The
server's name that we
server,
had. That dude was
he was the
electric.
best. We should have got his name.
Absolutely. That guy was absolutely phenomenal. He was electric. Um, Brandy, I think, ordered some soup and some chips. Lori ordered like a side of mac and cheese. Like, who does this? We're going out to eat. Who orders a side of mac and cheese? But whatever. It made
They
it
were
work.
tired. It had been a long day.
It definitely had. Obviously, then Saturday we had the award ceremony. Certainly blessed, but before the award ceremony, there was an event in downtown Montgomery that we actually had the part of
Hmm.
being involved in some history.
Hmm.
Tish, I'll let you talk a little bit about that.
I'd actually almost forgotten about that. It's been so much that's happened. Oh, y'all just don't know. It's been a lot. So on our way down to Montgomery Friday, I saw on I guess it was on Facebook that they were gonna have like this, like kind of like a rally, like at is it the what was the name of that bridge? Not in Montgomery, but Selma.
Selma, yeah,
Yeah,
Selma,
they're gonna be in Selma, but then I also saw they were gonna be in Montgomery downtown.
right,
And so that was only what, maybe a mile, not quite a mile from the hotel.
right.
So we didn't have anything planned for that Saturday because the event wasn't until that Saturday night. So we just figured we would walk down and see what it was all about. And it was really nice to see everybody come together. Um, in that manner.
Right.
There were buses. I saw on Facebook, I think they were going to have like 100 buses that they were bringing to that event. I know some people from Huntsville were there. Just people from all over the country, came in for this event, to support just the voting rights and just all of the craziness that's going on, like with our voting system. There were some big names there. We didn't go actually up close. We kind of stayed, on the outskirts, but it was still plenty of people back there because they had the speakers going so we could still hear what they were saying. So it was just to be a part of that history, unexpectedly. We're just like, we'll just go see what's going on. So I'm really glad we decided to go and to be a part of that movement.
Yeah, I felt like it was historic. I also felt like it was extremely peaceful.
Hmm.
Um, if people thought, oh well, there's going to be violence, there really wasn't any violence. It was a lot of peaceful protests going on and conversations. So no, I felt like it was great. And then obviously we get to the awards presentation that night, and I was able to. I had a speech, that I had to prepare for. But certainly blessed for the opportunity to receive the award.
Mhm.
I was happy that you know I was with some good company. Let's put it that way. Um, but sometimes representation just wasn't there. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, I was blessed and humbled to receive the award.
It was
So we,
nice.
yeah, so soon we get back on Sunday. We drive back on Sunday again. Quick turnaround, right? Quick turnaround because
Super
now
quick.
we got to get ready for this vacation that we've scheduled. Okay, we're going on a cruise, but
Mhm.
we're leaving out of Galveston, Texas, and we live in Huntsville,
Mhm.
Alabama. So, but we left on Wednesday afternoon to drive to Conway, Arkansas. Again, we're going to circle back to this other part here after a while, but then Thursday you have your thing. Then we have a little rest on Thursday. Then we drive 6.5, 7 hours to Galveston, Texas,
Mhm.
to spend the night, and then on that Saturday we get on a cruise ship. For you, it's I don't even know how many cruises you've been on, but that was my first cruise.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of in awe and taking it all in, more than anything else. It did not help that it rained.
Yeah.
Um, when we're trying to get on this ship.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, we got on the ship. I certainly had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I hope you had fun.
I
I
did.
hope our kids had fun, and obviously, I think the highlight really was our grandson at the end of the.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, I typically go on cruises just to relax and unwind. So I'm not really I don't really care so much like entertainment wise or really even like the ports. I think I've been on like maybe six or seven and all of them have all gone to Cozumel. So it's really nothing else I need to do in Cozumel, but it's always nice just to kind of get off, walk around, take pictures. But for me, cruises are a way to just like unwind and just disconnect. Even though we did get the internet package, it wasn't work. It was just like to get on Facebook, just kind of keep up with things, but nothing work related or anything like that. So that's what I use cruises for. Even though I do get motion sickness, so I have my patches. Um, but still, I enjoy it. Everything was great. The food was great. We took naps every day. That's great. I just go there to relax. So it served the purpose.
No, it definitely served a purpose. It was definitely different in the sense for me. I'm used to maybe not vacationing on a cruise, but vacationing, in the Dominican Republic or Jamaica or, you know, wherever, right, in this particular sense. So I would be connected. And this was the first time where I was not connected. Even if I took my computer on this boat, I can't do any work. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just not gonna happen. So it made it easier in a sense to disconnect. I never been to Cozumel, so that part was fun. Going to Fat Tuesdays. Shout out Fat Tuesdays all
Mm-hmm.
across the country. I encourage you if you like daiquiris, hit them up. Um, but
And
Fat
this one actually
Tuesdays.
had virgin daiquiri, so I really like that one.
Yeah, exactly. Going to Yucatan the next day was different and fun.
Mhm.
And then the coming back, and I know you had talked about motion sickness. I never really got motion sickness in the sense, and even when we went to dinner, like our table is literally right
Oh,
there
when
at
I
the
saw
back.
that, I was like, "Oh God, this is the worst possible place for me to
Yeah,
eat," because I knew what was going to happen to my stomach. But I
yeah.
was fine.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed
Mhm.
sitting right there in the water, right being there.
Mhm.
But it was the coming back part that like those first couple of days where you might be standing still, but yet your body's still
Still
feeling like
moving.
you're on this boat.
Mhm.
But from a cruise aspect, and we went on Carnival Cruise. Um, Again, I had an absolute blast. Guys Burgers, unbelievable.
Yes.
Yeah, I ain't even going. I can't compare them to nobody. They're top notch.
Mhm.
But Overall, I felt like the experience was great. I felt like our grandson did great.
He did.
Um, Shout out to the lady that tried to get us on the dance floor.
Hmm.
And again, like we all we did was relax.
Yeah.
The naps every day, and it was a phenomenal, by far probably one of the best vacations I've ever had
Yeah.
outside of Dominican Republic, of course. But uh, I can't help it. But no, the cruise was, and I know you had asked the question when we were on the cruise, would I go back on another cruise? And yeah, I think that the idea is there for us to go on another cruise. So it didn't deter me from not going on another cruise at all,
Hmm.
and everything. But so yeah, that was our busy, obviously time. But Tish, I know I've talked about it a couple times, saying we're going to circle back. So I wanted to give you the floor in this particular situation to explain, I guess, some things that have been going on personally for you as well.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna try to make it through this. I think I'll be able to make it through it. Um, as I said earlier, we're both 50 now. I turned 50 actually last August, and you turned 50 in April. And so I just wanted to kind of touch base like on kind of some of the things. Oh, yeah, there's your hat. Okay. Uh some of the things that's been going on since turning 50. Well, people say, 50 and fabulous and it started out pretty fabulous, but since I've turned 50, I've had a frozen shoulder. Um, but if for those of you who don't know what that is, basically, as you get older, start progressing towards menopause, like your estrogen levels drop and everything. So, um, things for the best way I know how to put it, things kind of start drying up. And unfortunately, like the fluid and stuff in your shoulders and your hips and knees and stuff are some of the fluids that kind of dry up. So my right shoulder, I had frozen shoulder from probably maybe October-ish. And it starts out like really, really, it's like, oh man, that kind of hurts. The next thing you know, you can't raise it. And so I dealt with that from probably October-ish until maybe probably March or so. Didn't do anything in particular. I did start Tai Chi, so I think that helped a lot. So finally started getting over the frozen shoulder. Well, all of my doctors are still in Arkansas because I go back so much that I go home probably every month and a half, 2 months. And so I've never changed my doctors there. So every, 6 months or once a year, I get all of my doctor's appointments out of the way. So just so happened this year, it happened to be March 13th, Friday the 13th.
Mm.
I had a mammogram, I had my pap smear, I had just a regular doctor's appointment. I used to have a dentist appointment too, but we did actually move dentists here in Huntsville. So I had three appointments that day. So I had my mammogram first, got my pap smear done, ready for my third appointment. And I get a call from inside of the clinic because they're all in the same clinic. And I'm like, why are they calling me? I'm right here. So, what could they want? Well, as it turns out, they saw something on my mammogram and they were like, it's probably no big deal. We just want you to, do a follow up. And so, literally, right there within like 5 minutes, they had made me an appointment to go like to Little Rock like that next week. And I was like, no, I can't do that. I live in Alabama. I can't I can't stay here. 'Cause this was like what Thursday, I
Hmm.
guess. Because I always have my appointments like on Thursdays or Fridays. So yeah, this was that Friday. I forgot that Friday. So they want me to come back like that Tuesday. I was like, no, I got to go back to work. I live in Huntsville. So basically, 2 weeks later, I came back and got an ultrasound and a follow up um, mammogram in Little Rock because this was in Arkadelphia that got the original one. Came, went to Little Rock, got a follow up mammogram ultrasound. They're like, yeah, we still see a little spot. She called it something, which is typically benign, so nothing to worry about. But we do want you to get a biopsy just to rule it out, whatever. So, still at that time, I'm thinking, okay, no big deal or whatever. So then I go back. I don't even know the dates. I go back. What was it? This
When
was March. So
and
I went back April 23rd,
yes.
April 23rd, and got the biopsy. And this was in Little Rock again. So did the biopsy. They said, oh, don't worry about anything. Today, whatever day it was, Thursday, it'll probably Monday or Tuesday. Somebody will call you back with the results. So no big deal. So, okay, so we're in Conway. And we didn't go to Arkadelphia that weekend, so my parents came up to Conway. Um, I guess that Friday,
Saturday, I think.
maybe Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. It
get
was
my
Friday.
days mixed
It
up.
was Friday. Yeah.
So they come up, and we're getting ready to go. So we're supposed to leave at like noon. So I'm on the phone with my oldest daughter, Jasmine. We're FaceTiming, we're getting ready to eat breakfast or whatever. And all of a sudden, because I have my chart, and for those of you who don't know what my chart is, it's basically you can see like all of your test results, all your upcoming visits, everything is right there online. So I get a message that I have some new results in my chart. So like I said, my family's there, my parents, sisters, on the phone, my daughter. Um, and I open up the results and I literally like go numb. And Brian's sitting there beside me. And I'm just looking out at my phone and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. So, to be honest, I can't really tell you what happened a whole lot after that moment. I remember going into the kitchen and telling my parents and my sister and my daughter who was on the phone, and everything else was kind of like a blur, like for the
Yeah.
next, I don't know, hour or so, because it came back invasive lobular carcinoma. So you would have to look it up. I can't really explain it. Can't really explain it, but that was probably one of the most devastating days of my life. And then we had to drive back to Huntsville after that. So like we get this news, and within like an hour or hour and a half, we're in the car, we're driving back. We got work, the next day or whatever. So I had to tell my other daughter, that was very devastating because she was still in college at the time. She was having fun with her friends. But I wanted to tell her because I don't think anything like that should be kept,
I agree.
a secret. Because initially I said I wanted to wait. I was like, no, she's having fun with her friends. No, I'm going to wait. But I was like, no, I need to go ahead and tell her. So basically, I did receive a cancer diagnosis a breast cancer diagnosis on April 25th of this year. And so since then, I've met with the oncologist. I've met with right before our cruise. I had 3 appointments that day, but he said that we had a little rest. We had a little rest because I had to meet with the radiation doctor. I had an MRI first. Back that up. I had an MRI first, which was horrible because you had to be still for, she said, like probably 15 minutes. It felt like at least 30 minutes. So I'm not going to get too graphic, but anyway, it was not comfortable. Went straight from the MRI to talk to the radiation doctor. Went straight from there to talk to a plastic surgeon. So that would have all of my options um, come surgery time. On the way to the radiation appointment. No, it was at lunch, maybe. I got the
Exactly.
call about the MRI, and I was like, "Ooh, that was quick." So then, of course, I got nervous. I was like, "Oh my God, what is it now?" And so, thank God the MRI results were good. There's nothing in my lymph nodes. My other breast is fine. So I haven't talked to my oncologist again yet. I have that appointment in a couple of weeks, but um, the lady that called me about the MRI said that it's not looking like I will need any radiation or chemo. They did catch it very early. So I do want to use this platform, like I had mentioned earlier, to encourage women, not only women, but men as well. But particularly women, early detection is very important. This was only, I think, maybe like 6 centimeters. But when they did the biopsy, they took out five of it for the biopsy. So right now it's only a centimeter. Early detection is key. They were saying that this type is kind of hard to catch on a mammogram. So, I just thank God that Baptists, caught it early because, we were all thinking it was just a mistake, no big deal. But they did. They caught it very, very, very early. And even the doctor in Little Rock was saying that, it was amazing how they caught this so early because it is so small. Um, I looked at some of my results. I did see it's like a stage 1A. So it's very early. Um, and I do want to use this platform to encourage women, to let you know that you're not alone. Um, I can give my Instagram, my Facebook, if anyone needs to send me a message. I was blessed that God allowed me to get the news while I was still there with my family. So they were a huge support for me. And I know not everybody has that support. So I do want to reach out to others, to let you know that you can reach out to me. I try to remember my Instagram. I think it's Tish TISHWG38. That's Instagram. And also, on Facebook, or if you'll leave a message or whatever. I don't know how with the message stuff, messenger, I guess, whatever you call it. But no, just to let you know that you're not alone, because not everyone has that family support, and I just thank God for that. Not only my family, I have some really good friends. I have praying family, praying friends, that call and check up on me. Give me encouraging words. And I want to be able to do that to someone else. If you don't have that support, so it's been a trying few months for me. Cried a lot. Of course, it's a long trip home. Cried most of the way home. Just kind of taking it all in. Um, my Both of my sisters and my mom have had breast cancer before. They were in their 40s. Um, no, am 50. So it's just one of those things to where I won't say that it was a complete shock, just kind of given like the family history or whatever. But still, until it actually happens, then, you know. Um, but so I thank God for the support, and just to listen to everyone's prayers that as I begin this journey, or continue this journey, I'll have my pre-op appointment on the 26th. And from there, there will be a surgery schedule from there. So that's kind of where I am in my journey. I've been keeping a journal, just kind of freeing my mind up every day. A lot of times it's not even about like the diagnosis or anything like that, because I don't really want to dwell on it, but just kind of getting my thoughts out um, every night. So journaling has been good for me. But I just want to encourage everyone just to get your mammograms, get your pap smears, and get all of those tests done, because it could definitely save your life.
Yeah, I want to thank you for sharing. I know that this is obviously incredibly difficult to share to speak upon. As your spouse, it's not been the easiest, I guess you could say, for me. In a sense, I am proud that you have an outlet in journaling. I'm not exactly sure what my outlet has been to this point because we've had a busy,
Yeah,
an incredibly busy May. So I've
yeah,
really haven't had that ability to sit down and really think. It's just more or less just keep myself occupied, keep myself
mhm,
busy, right? For me, it's going to work, it's working out, it's
mhm,
smoking my cigars, whatever, right? And it's
yeah,
so for me, that's my outlet right now. And then being there for you as an encourager and a support system. So no, I thank you for allowing the conversation, but allowing for you to share that not just with our loyal listeners, but for somebody that might not be a loyal listener and just joining for the first time, hearing that. So no, I appreciate you sharing that.
yeah. Yeah, it hasn't been easy. I still have my days, but I also have my faith, and so that keeps me going. I have my family, and I will say, this trip, I didn't really think about anything on this trip, but just the moment. Just thinking about being there with the kids, being there with the grandbaby. So the trip was really kind of healing for me. And like you said, we've been busy all month, so we've been occupied enough to not have a lot of time to dwell on it. Which is a good thing. But yeah, this trip was very healing for me, in that aspect. So
Well, if it's not the trip and it's not the grandbaby, I can rest assured that this cowboy hat will definitely take the cake for you. Okay,
yes, it will.
hey,
You
saddle up, baby.
definitely you provide the humor, that's for sure, and I
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
So no, we just want to, obviously this podcast got a little winded, but we wanted to share this roller coaster that is life. Um,
Definitely.
and get on here and be probably a little bit more intentional on sharing some stuff and using our platform for our faith and teaching and developing as well, and everything. And any final words of wisdom, encouragement, whatever,
Well,
Tish?
I'm pretty sure everybody's kind of curious as to what we have in our cups. So, in my Virginia Beach coffee cup, I do have coffee. I have decaf coffee with agave and some coconut cream, sugar-free creamer, and a teaspoon of cinnamon. So I'm looking up, and my sister's giving me some cinnamon. And it's the organic cinnamon, not the kind you get just like in any store. It's organic cinnamon. So she's giving me a lot of organic products. I just got to figure out how to use them. But I did add the cinnamon to the coffee. And so the cinnamon has, good effects for your blood pressure, your blood sugar. Um, so I'm just trying to look at some more holistic ways, um, right now, as I go through this journey. So what's in your glass?
Well, this glass, it says I'll drink to that. This glass actually came from well, I'm gonna leave it as is. I don't want to really talk about the past too much.
Okay.
Um, but I got a little Southern Comfort in here, some whiskey. Southern Comfort, my drink of choice. Uh,
Mhm.
if you want to message me, Brian, I think it's Brian Howard 33 on Instagram. If you want to message me and you want to give me some Southern Comfort, feel free to donate to the Brian Howard Fan Club. Um, but that's my drink of choice. Some Southern Comfort. Tonight was Southern Comfort, and that's beverage of choice, I guess you could say.
All right.
So
Well, it's been fun.
it has been fun. I know it's been a little a little bit of a journey on this podcast and
Mhm.
everything. But we're gonna get out of here. No telling when we're gonna be back. But we're gonna be back a little sooner than later, thanks to Dino. Because if
We
I'm gonna
will.
tell you right now, if we're not on, Dino gonna come get us. Okay.
He's gonna put us on blast. He said, if we don't keep it up, so we're gonna do the right thing, and we're gonna keep it up.
Absolutely. So, as always, Tish, it's been a long time since we've done this. A
Yes.
long time, long time. But as we close this, everything that we do is worth
The
the
way.
wait. Take care. Peace out.
See you next time.
Bye, Cowboys.